My parents tried to force me into paying for my sister's apartment, so I moved out quietly and bought a place they could never afford. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and for as long as I can remember, my family treated me like the reliable safety net, while my sister lived like a princess. That's not an exaggeration. It was the unspoken rule of our house. Lily was the light, the joy, the one who deserved the best. I was the worker, the helper, the one who wasn't supposed to complain. Growing up, the difference was obvious. If Lily got an A, my parents practically threw her a parade. If I did, they'd say, "Good, that's what boys are supposed to do." When Lily wanted money for a school trip, a concert, a last-minute emergency, the wallet opened instantly. When I needed money for textbooks, my dad would sigh and tell me, "Be responsible, figure it out." So I did. I got my first job at 16, late nights stocking shelves, early mornings dragging myself to class, just to keep up. Even back then, I remember wondering if something was wrong with me. Why did Lily get softness, excitement, affection, and I got duty? But I loved my family, and love has this way of making you excuse things you shouldn't. Whenever I hesitated or questioned the imbalance, my mom would tilt her head and say, "You're a man. Men provide. It's your role." And somehow, that sentence always sank straight into my chest, making me feel both ashamed and obligated. I didn't realize how deeply it shaped me until much later, how being the dependable one became less of a compliment and more of a chain wrapped around my neck. I kept giving, kept working, kept stepping up, even when no one stepped up for me. Then one night, while we were cleaning after dinner, my dad cleared his throat. "We might need to talk soon," he said casually, glancing at Lily. My mom added, "Your sister might need some help." They didn't explain what. They just shared a look I couldn't decipher, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a knot of unease tightening in my stomach. I woke up the next morning, thinking maybe I had overreacted to their vague comments, but the unease lingered, like a low hum beneath everything I did that day. When I got home from work, both my parents were sitting at the dining table, and Lily was scrolling through her phone with this smug little smile, like she already knew how the conversation was going to end. My mom started gently. "So, we talked last night, and Lily has an opportunity." Lily chimed in without looking up. "Yeah, there's this amazing apartment downtown. Super modern, great amenities, perfect for my future." My dad folded his arms. "She needs help securing it. It's a good deal, and family supports family." I felt my jaw tighten. "Why can't her fiancé help? Isn't he the one she's moving in with?" Lily finally looked up, eyes already glossy, like she had practiced being offended. "You know he's dealing with things. Besides, this is temporary, just until his situation stabilizes." My mom added, "It's just a few months. You can easily afford it. You make good money." The way she said easily stung, like my efforts weren't effort at all, just an endless fountain they were entitled to. I tried to be reasonable. "I have my own responsibilities. I can't just start paying for someone else's place." Lily scoffed. "Someone else? I'm your sister." My dad's voice sharpened. "You're being selfish. She needs stability right now." Their words felt rehearsed, coordinated, like this wasn't a discussion, but an assignment they expected me to accept. I looked at Lily, who immediately let out a shaky breath, forcing tears. "You're ruining my future. You always do this. You act like you're better than everyone." I wasn't angry, just exhausted. Exhausted in a way that sits behind your ribs and makes you question your own sanity. My mom grabbed my hand. "We'll discuss this tomorrow. We expect you to do the right thing." The room fell silent, and for the first time, I felt something shift inside me. Something that didn't want to bend anymore. I thought maybe everyone just needed time to cool off. Maybe by morning, things would feel less intense. But the universe had other plans, because the next few days felt like a coordinated ambush. It started with my mom sending long, emotional texts before sunrise, paragraphs about family unity, about how a real man supports his blood, about how Lily was fragile right now. Then my dad followed with messages that were shorter but sharper. "Stop being dramatic. It's just money. You owe your family loyalty." At night, they would knock on my bedroom door, asking if I had come to my senses. Every conversation felt like walking into a trap. If I tried defending myself, they'd talk over me. If I stayed quiet, they'd take it as guilt. Lily escalated things in her own way, by going online. I found out through a cousin that she posted vague, dramatic stories about being unsupported by my own family when I needed them most. No names, but anyone who knew us could guess who the villain was. Suddenly, relatives I hadn't spoken to in months were messaging me. "Why are you abandoning your sister? You're better than this." Meanwhile, Lily floated around the house with this air of martyrdom, sniffing dramatically whenever I walked by. One night, I heard her on the phone laughing, full belly laughter, before she switched to a fake sob as soon as my parents entered the room. But the real breaking point came when I overheard her whispering on the phone to a friend. "He'll cave. He always does. My parents are on him 24/7. He doesn't have a spine." Something in me snapped a little at that moment. Not loudly, not visibly, but quietly, like a rope pulled too tight for too long. I didn't know it yet, but that sentence, "he always caves," was the beginning of the end. 2 days later, I walked into what felt like an intervention I never agreed to. My parents were sitting stiffly in the living room, and Lily was perched on the couch like a queen waiting to be announced. On the coffee table were printed apartment brochures, highlighted, circled, neatly arranged like evidence in a case they were determined to win. My dad gestured to the seat across from them. "Sit. We need to finalize things." Finalize? My stomach tightened. Finalize what? My mom slid one of the brochures toward me. "Lily found the perfect place. We talked to the landlord already. He's willing to move forward as long as you co-sign and cover the first 6 months." I blinked. "You talked to the landlord? Without me?" Lily rolled her eyes dramatically. "We didn't think you'd mind. You're always so responsible. You know I can't afford this right now." I could feel heat rising in my chest. "That's exactly the point, Lily. If you can't afford it, why are you choosing a place like this?" She shot back instantly. "Because I deserve nice things. I'm not going to live in some dump just because you're being cheap." My dad's voice cut in, loud, authoritative. "Enough. We expect you to co-sign. This is for the family." I took a breath, steady but shaking. "No, I'm not paying for Lily's apartment, and I'm not co-signing anything." The room froze. It was like no one had ever heard me refuse anything in my entire life. Lily stared at me like I had personally ended her career. "You're ruining my life," she screamed. "Do you want me to be homeless? Is that what you want?" My mom's voice trembled with anger. "We raised you better than this. You don't walk away from responsibilities." Responsibilities. That word felt like a knife twisting. Not love, not respect, just duty. As I stood to leave, my dad said coldly, "You have 48 hours to fix this, or you'll regret it." For the first time, their threats didn't scare me. They just confirmed something was very, very wrong. The next morning, I woke up with a strange heaviness in my chest, as if my body already knew something was wrong before my mind caught up. I checked my phone out of habit, scrolling through the barrage of guilt-tripping messages from my parents. I almost ignored the email from my bank. The subject line seemed routine, until it wasn't. Unusual activity detected. My heart dropped. I logged in, and for a moment, I just stared at the screen, not fully processing what I was seeing. There had been an attempted withdrawal, a large one, from an old joint access form my parents had set up when I was a teenager. It had been dormant for years, something I assumed had expired or been automatically removed, but someone tried to use it. Recently. My throat tightened. No way. I clicked into the details, and the timestamp hit me like a punch. The attempt happened the night after the confrontation, while I was asleep in my room upstairs, thinking things might calm down. I walked into the kitchen in a daze. Lily was sitting at the table, tapping through TikTok. My mom was making tea. My dad was reading the newspaper like it was any normal morning. "Did either of you try to access my bank account?" My voice was low, careful, trying not to shake. My mom didn't even turn around. "Why would we do that?" My dad didn't look up. "Stop imagining things." But Lily flicked her eyes up at me with a tiny, satisfied smirk, so quick I almost questioned if I saw it. I pressed again. "My bank flagged an attempt. Someone used the old joint access paperwork." My dad slammed the newspaper down. "Maybe the bank made a mistake. Don't accuse your family like we're criminals." Criminals. He said it with disgust, but all I could hear was the denial, the defensiveness, the certainty that they still believed they had a right to my money. I felt something cold settle inside me. This wasn't about helping Lily. This was about control, financial, emotional, all of it. And as they continued eating breakfast like nothing happened, I realized I wasn't safe in my own house anymore. After the bank incident, something inside me shifted. quietly, heavily, like a door closing from the inside. I avoided everyone that day, keeping my distance, trying to untangle the knot of anger and disbelief in my chest. By evening, I heard my parents calling me into the living room. Their tone was strangely calm, almost rehearsed. It made my skin crawl. My dad started with a sigh, like I had inconvenienced him. "We need to talk, again." My mom folded her hands neatly on her lap. "We're worried about you. You've been acting paranoid." Paranoid. The word hit me like ice water. Paranoid? Someone tried to access my bank account. You really expect me to ignore that? My mom waved her hand dismissively. "Banks glitch all the time. Don't be dramatic." Lily snorted. "You always take things too seriously. No wonder you're single." I stared at her. "Were you involved?" She leaned back and smiled. Not a big smile, just enough to make my stomach twist. "Why would I need your money? I'm getting an apartment, remember?" My dad jumped in, voice booming. "Enough! Lily is struggling, and you're sitting there hoarding money like some stranger. You should be ashamed." For the first time, I felt my voice break. "I'm not hoarding. I'm surviving. I've been helping this family since I was a kid." My mom's expression hardened. "And that's what sons do." Lily added, "You're supposed to support us. That's literally your job." Your job, not your choice, not your kindness, not your love. Your job. It's amazing how one sentence can shatter years of rationalizing. In that moment, I realized they never saw me as a person. Just a tool, a wallet, a backup plan. I stood up, shaking. "I'm done being your safety net." My dad's eyebrow lifted. "Oh, really? You think walking away is that easy?" My mom's voice dropped to a cold whisper. "If you refuse to help your sister, don't expect this family to help you ever again." That was the moment I hit rock bottom. Not because they threatened to cut me off, but because I finally understood. They never cared if I stayed. They only cared if I paid. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling everything and nothing at the same time. The house felt unfamiliar, like I was staying in a place that wasn't mine, surrounded by people who only valued what I could give them. Every whispered argument from the hallway, every guilt-tripping message, every dismissal of my feelings. It all replayed in my head until it felt suffocating. Around 3 a.m., I sat up and whispered to myself, "I can't do this anymore." Hearing my own voice say it out loud felt like breaking a spell. The next morning, I avoided everyone and left early for work. On the drive, my chest felt tight, like leaving even temporarily was somehow a betrayal. But then, I'd remember my mom's words, "That's what sons do," and something inside me hardened again. During lunch, I sat alone in the break room scrolling through apartment listings. Most were way out of my budget, but I kept looking. Anything felt better than staying in a house where my boundaries meant nothing. Every time I hesitated, I remembered Lily's smirk, my dad calling me ashamed, my mom denying the bank incident like I was crazy. Then a listing caught my eye. A small but modern one-bedroom on the edge of the city. Clean, bright, quiet. The kind of place no one could barge into demanding money. I saved it, my hands shaking. That night, I started packing small things. Things they wouldn't notice missing. Clothes I rarely wore, important documents, my passport. I did it slowly, quietly, folding everything carefully so the bag wouldn't make noise. Every creak of the floor made my pulse spike. Down the hallway, I could hear my parents watching TV, laughing at something Lily said. Their voices didn't sound like family. They sounded like people who had already made peace with using me. As I zipped the bag shut, a strange kind of clarity washed over me. Not relief, not yet, but direction. For the first time, the idea of leaving didn't feel impossible. It felt necessary. The next day, I scheduled a viewing for the apartment I'd saved. I didn't tell my parents where I was going. I just left the house quietly, heart pounding the whole drive, as if I were doing something wrong, even though it was the first thing I'd done for myself in years. When I pulled into the complex, I just sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, breathing in the unfamiliar feeling of possibility. The building was modern and calm, all glass and clean lines. As I walked inside, the soft hum of the lobby air conditioner brushed against my skin. Everything smelled new, fresh, like a life untouched by anyone else's expectations. The realtor, a friendly woman in her 40s, smiled and said, "You're going to like this one. It has real peace to it." Her voice felt almost surreal after weeks of hostility at home. When she opened the door to the unit, sunlight spilled across the wooden floor. I stepped inside slowly, like I was entering a dream I wasn't sure I deserved. The kitchen counters gleamed. The walls were warm, not the cold beige of my parents' house. And the silence. The silence was beautiful. No yelling, no guilt, no footsteps waiting to corner me. For a moment, I just stood there, imagining what it would be like to come home to this space after work. To breathe without waiting for someone to ask for money. To sit on a couch I bought with my own earnings. To exist without being used. The realtor walked me through financing options, payment plans, timelines. I kept expecting something to go wrong, some sign that life wouldn't let me have this, but everything lined up. Everything made sense. And when she said, "You're comfortably pre-approved," I felt something loosen in my chest, like a knot I'd been carrying since childhood had finally unraveled. I didn't tell anyone, not my parents, not Lily, not a single soul. But as I signed the application, my hand steady for the first time in weeks, one thought echoed through me. They were going to lose their safety net, and I was finally going to gain a life. Moving day wasn't dramatic. There was no screaming, no confrontation, no final showdown. Just a quiet morning where I woke up before sunrise, stood in my old room, and realized it had never truly belonged to me. Not really. It was a space where I slept, worked, and existed. Never lived. I packed the last of my things in silence. Clothes, laptop, toothbrush. Not much else. I didn't want souvenirs from a place that only remembered me when it needed something. I set my old key on the desk for a moment, then hesitated. Leaving it behind felt symbolic, like cutting the last thread they used to pull me back. The house was still dark when I stepped into the hallway. I could hear faint snoring from my parents' room. Lily's door was cracked open, her room a mess of clothes and makeup palettes scattered across the floor, like chaos following her everywhere. For a moment, I felt a sliver of guilt. Then I remembered her laughing about how I'd always cave. I quietly closed the front door behind me. The air outside was cool, the sky still a deep shade of blue. It felt like the world hadn't woken up yet, like I was getting a head start at rebuilding my life. At my new apartment, the moving crew helped unload everything. They were quick, efficient, even cheerful. It was strange watching strangers treat my things with more care than my own family ever had. When the last box hit the floor of my new place, the silence felt different. Warm, safe, mine. Then my phone buzzed. Dozens of missed calls, texts. My mom. "Where are you?" My dad. "This isn't funny." Lily. "Wow, dramatic much?" I stared at the screen for a long time before typing a short message. "I've moved out. I won't be paying for Lily's apartment." Within seconds, the call started again. Angry, frantic, non-stop. I turned the phone face down on the counter and took the deepest breath I'd taken in years. For the first time ever, they had no idea how to control me. The calls didn't stop. If anything, they grew more frantic, like my parents were spiraling at the idea that I had finally slipped out of their grip. I ignored them for a full day, focusing on unpacking, arranging my furniture, and trying to let the stillness of my new life settle into my bones. But on the second morning, as I walked into work, my stomach dropped. They were there. My parents stood near the entrance of my office building, tense and simmering with anger. Lily was with them too, arms crossed, eyes narrowed, like she was preparing for a performance. I froze. My coworkers were streaming past, some already doing double takes because the scene looked like something out of a drama. My dad stepped forward first. "You think you can just disappear?" My voice felt shaky but steady. "I didn't disappear. I moved out." My mom's voice cracked with outrage. "Without telling us? Without permission? You don't treat family like that." Lily scoffed loudly enough for the crowd to hear. "He abandoned us because he doesn't want to help. He's selfish. Always has been." I glanced around, coworkers slowing down, pretending not to stare, but very clearly watching. I hated scenes. I hated being the center of drama, but something in me snapped into place. Maybe it was the humiliation of their ambush. Maybe it was years of bottling everything up. I took a breath. "You tried to take money from my bank account." A few coworkers froze mid-step. My dad stiffened. "Watch your mouth." "No," I said louder this time. "My bank sent me the alert. Someone used the old joint access form, and it happened right after I refused to pay for Lily's apartment." My mom's face paled. "You're imagining things?" "No," I repeated firmly. "I'm done letting you gaslight me." Lily stepped closer, fury twisting her expression. "You're embarrassing us." I shook my head. "You did that yourselves." There was a long, tense silence. My parents looked around, finally realizing how many people were watching. And for the first time in my life, they didn't have a comeback. They turned and walked away. But I knew this wasn't over. Not yet. For a couple of days after the confrontation at my job, everything went eerily quiet. No calls, no texts, no dramatic monologues from Lily online. That silence felt heavier than the yelling ever did. It sat in my chest like a warning. I tried focusing on work, on unpacking, on settling into my new place, but something in my gut told me the fallout wasn't finished. Then, one evening, my aunt, my mom's older sister, called me. She never reaches out unless it's serious. Her voice was low, careful, like she was scared someone might overhear her. "I heard what happened," she whispered. "You need to know something." My heart thudded. "What is it?" There was a shaky pause. Lily didn't need that apartment. Her fiancé's family already offered them a condo rent-free. They planned it months ago. The room seemed to tilt. Then why? Why all of this? Why push me to pay for something she didn't need? My aunt exhaled sharply. "Your parents didn't want you moving out. They were afraid that once you lived on your own, they'd lose control of you. So Lily came up with the apartment story to tie you down financially, make you dependent, keep you close." My skin went cold. Every guilt trip, every emotional ambush, every accusation of me being selfish. All of it, manufactured. A trap, a strategy. My aunt kept talking, anger leaking into her voice. "Your mother told the family that you had too much freedom and needed responsibility. They were trying to keep you from becoming independent." I felt sick, not angry, sick, like the floor beneath my childhood had been ripped away. My family didn't just use me. They strategized how to keep using me. They planned my obedience like it was a project. I whispered, "Thank you for telling me." She replied, "I'm sorry you had to find out this way. You don't deserve any of this." When I hung up, the silence in my apartment felt different. Colder, heavier, but clearer. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty for walking away. I felt justified. A strange calm washed over me in the days after my aunt's call. Not happiness, not relief, just clarity. A final, quiet confirmation that walking away wasn't betrayal. It was survival. My parents had built an entire narrative around keeping me small, dependent, obedient. And for the first time in my life, I had stepped outside of their script. My new apartment felt different now. Not just like a home, but like proof. Proof that I could build something on my own. Proof that I wasn't the safety net they trained me to be. I spent the next week arranging my furniture, hanging a few pictures, buying groceries that I liked. Every small act felt like stitching myself back together. Then, the messages started again. Tentative this time. My mom first. "We should talk. Family doesn't stay angry forever." Then my dad. "Your sister's going through a lot. She needs you." Finally, Lily. "I can't believe you did this to me. My relationship is falling apart because of your selfishness." I didn't reply to any of them. A few days later, Lily showed up, at my building unannounced. She looked frantic, makeup smudged, hair a mess, a trembling edge to her voice. "He left me," she said. "My fiancé. His family said I'm high maintenance. I don't have anywhere to go." I leaned against the doorway, feeling the faint echo of the old instinct to help. The instinct they'd trained into me for years. But then I remembered everything. The manipulation, the lies, the bank account, the plan to trap me. I kept my voice calm. "I'm sorry things didn't work out, but I'm not your solution." She glared at me like she couldn't believe I wasn't folding. "So, that's it? You won't help your own sister?" I met her eyes evenly. "I've helped more than enough." She left in a huff, muttering insults under her breath. But this time, her words didn't burrow under my skin. They bounced off. A week later, I sat on my balcony looking out at the city lights. Quiet, peaceful, mine. Not once did I think about going back. Not once did I miss the house where I was only valuable as long as I was paying. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need them to apologize. I didn't need validation. I just needed freedom. And for the first time in my life, I finally had it.